Okay, welcome to the Lobo Den Podcast. I have Salas. Mike Salas, comedian, former police officer, worked the gang unit. So we talk about gangs, we talk about Larry Hoover, we talk about shitty shows and prostitutes. Okay, Lobo Den.
Lobo Den, Lobo Den, Lobo Den. Lobo Den, Lobo Den, Lobo Den. Lobo Den, Lobo Den, Lobo Den. Lobo Den, Lobo Den, Lobo Den. It's the Lobo.
Alright. Display. Focus mode.
Camera. I'm gonna do a really quick volume test on the TV because I always wait until you decide you want to pull up a video, and then I always go, the volume's like crazy every time. And YouTube. Oh yeah.
It's not like we're sending people to the moon, but we act like we do.
We're pushing the envelope. We're trying to get that last bit.
And the fine line between really good and great is so narrow.
But as engineers, that's part of the fun.
You gotta get out there to really make something great.
Titleist. You play golf?
I don't know. That's literally a commercial. I just hit the very first one I found.
Oh, I was like...
Yeah. I know how excited you get for golf though, so I was feeling it.
You don't golf, right?
I used to go a lot. Yes, I do. I host a tournament every year, even though I only golf like twice a year. Well, it's been up at my cabin for like 10, 12 years.
It's on a Saturday or Sunday, though?
It's always on a Saturday, yeah, basically a Saturday, yeah. We've had it for, oh, God, maybe 15 years.
And that is it. We are ready when you are.
All right. Okay, welcome to the Lobo Den Podcast. I'm your host, Giovanni Diaz. In front of me is my guest, Mike Salas, but to my left is Justin, Comic Live Studios. What's up, Justin? It's been a little bit since I've seen you, right? I think.
It's been 1 week.
It's been 1 week since I've seen you, but since I did see you, the team that you root for in football won the scripted Super Bowl, right? Because it's all WWE, it's all fake, right? Is it? It doesn't matter. You guys won.
I mean, yeah.
I would say it either way, even if Philly won. It has nothing to do with. I'm happy for you and your team to win, but I've always heard. Anyways, I'm not going to go into a rant why I think the WNBA. Who cares about scripted? Yeah, but anyways, we have Mike Salas. Mike, a comedian, former police officer in Kenosha. We started doing comedy. We met. You ran a Rome Fusion. Was it the first Tuesday of the month in Kenosha?
Yeah, first Thursday of the month. For 4 years.
For 4 years, the first Thursday was.
Yes, we did that.
It was a hot room. It was like a showcase, dude. It was a full room. That's where you met. And before, how'd you get into comedy? So you were a cop, but then you retired. How'd you get into comedy after being? Yeah. How long were you out of the force?
I was retired from law enforcement for 5 years, and my daughter's like, "Hey, I need you to." She lived down here in the city, and at the time, Old Town area, and she goes,
Zeta's Old Town.
Yeah, I need you to come down and do some comedy for my birthday. And I said, what do we usually do? Dinner, show, we do off Chicago, Broadway, whatever, something for her birthday. And she's like, no, I want you to do stand-up. And I said, well, I've never.
Why'd she want you to do stand-up?
Was she a fan of stand-up? She always thought I could do. She thought I could do it. I never had the confidence to even try it or want to do it. So she goes, that's what I want for my birthday. That's final. Come down, do 5 minutes, and get it out of do it for me.
Okay.
So I did. I went over, what was it, 774 over on Belmont. It was a theater.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Did they get in trouble?
They used to be a gay theater back in the day, yeah.
But they became like an improv, right?
Yeah. They had improv, and they had a little side room there where you could put in about 60, 65 people. So I ended up writing like 20 minutes, and the guy said, you can do 5 minutes. And so I show up.
Were you the only one?
No, there's like 6 comics or 7 comics
So
showed up.
your daughter booked this show, or how?
No, it was open mic. They were running open mic.
yeah.
It was on a, I believe it's Friday night. And it was January, and it was a whiteout blizzard. And so I had, people in Kenosha, all my friends, relatives, like, hey, we're going to come and see you. I said, well, it's only 5 minutes. It's a long way to go in a blizzard. But I ended up bringing in about 45 people. And the guy goes, I don't know who you are, but can you come every week? Because we always have like 6 people here. This is great, So we had a nice room, and I gave it a shot. I did about 8 minutes, I think. And it went pretty well. It was well received. There was 5 other comics. None of them, they're all trying open mic. So you know what you get, right?
I know, dude. It's painful.
You don't get pain. A lot of pain.
It's painful.
A lot of silence.
Justin used to run open mic, right?
We don't have to tell you anything, Justin.
Yeah.
So it's very painful, very awkward. You feel horrible about everything. So, but I did really well, and I thought, oh, that's okay. Got it out of the system, And then my son says, why don't you come back and try it again? We'll go. He lived in Lakeview, and there was, 3 or 4 places. You can do them all. You do 3 in one night.
It was did you ever do pressure billiards? That was a Tuesday night thing.
No.
That was one of my first paid shows.
I came down on like maybe a Thursday, and we did 3 places. Your buddy used to, who was running that one, Mike?
Describe him a little bit.
It was a small room off.
Was he bipolar?
Everything was by Lincoln Avenue over there. It was on Lincoln. There was like a couple bars on
Patsy's.
Lincoln.
Yeah. Noah Gutierrez?
Noah. So
he is my buddy, but I'll say this about Noah. A quick thing about that mic. He ran it for years. I hosted the mic for years. So did Oscar. He hosted it.
Yes, Oscar hosted it too.
But I haven't. Noah, if I see you, I'm going to ask you in person. I think you were getting paid for that mic. And I don't think, just because I saw one time I saw what it looked like, him and the owner settling up at the end of the night.
Oh, yeah.
And then I was just like, when I saw that, I was like, he's getting paid? I don't even get it. I have to pay for my Diet Coke, and we're not getting anything. So he would do his time, and he would get the other host, and we'd run it the rest of the night, and he would do his homework. And I'm okay with that, but you got to cut us something off.
Yeah.
If you were doing that, Noah, we got to talk. But I like Noah. When I saw that, I was like, you getting paid for this? And you're fucking stiffing us? You're making us do all the work?
There was 3 bars in a I don't know, 5 blocks.
It was Patsy's. There was another one called.
There was the little lounge was by the Lincoln Billiards or whatever that used to be. The storefront was actually in The Color of Money, the movie. The Color of Money, the movie.
I'm into golf now. I used to be into pool.
Right. So
like 2 years.
What a great movie, right? So it was
Tom Cruise.
That was that storefront. That's where they filmed. The Color of Money was the actual storefront.
You saw Color of Money, Justin? Tom Cruise, Paul Newman, rest in peace.
Great movie, yeah, great movie.
Who was the love interest?
Master Antonio, or what was her name?
No, I don't remember. I can't remember your face.
Good looking, obviously.
Just pull up The Color of Money. I just want to see who the lead was. But okay,
Master Antonio, her last name is the actress. She's older and doesn't do as much anything anymore, but she was really hot back then. As far as her career was booming, pretty good. She had Tom Cruise, her, and Master Antonio or something.
The Color of Money. Where's this chick? That's not the sister, is it? That's not the sister from Scarface, is it?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, that's her. Yeah, she was smoking hot. Yeah, and very cool.
Weird relationship with her brother and her in Scarface.
Yeah, a little strange.
You've seen Scarface, right, Justin? Okay.
Who hasn't seen Scarface? But anyway, so my son says, let's go do these 3. And there was this little place we went to the first one. Schitt's Creek?
Schitt's Creek.
Right?
So it wasn't UIC, and those guys moved it to that Lincoln whatever, right? And eventually Ed Town started hosting that mic. But yeah, and there was a guy who worked there who's from my area, Grays Lake and everything, who is like a death metal guy. He's like in a death metal band.
Yeah, right.
And I'm friends with him on Facebook. But yeah, Schitt's Creek moved there from UIC to that one, which is 2 minutes from Patsy's.
I went into Schitt's Creek, and it was loaded. There was 25 comics. There was full house. It was packed. And I was having off now. I mean, just in general, when I got there, it was, 9, 10 o'clock. I didn't feel like being there. I was tired. I had a shitty day or something. Mm-hmm. I'm like, man, I don't really want to do this. You're here. Just go do it. My son's, come on, just do it, So
You already drove 40 minutes.
yeah, I'm right here, you know. So I get up and I do this little bit, and unfortunately, there was a guy ahead of me who was just fucking up left and right. And he gave me so much material, but I could just tee off on him. No, but he, you know what was bothering me? Like 4 comics that performed that night in the mic before me, all had to bring up that they were Second City trained.
Oh, let me
Right?
Yeah.
And first of all, I knew that you're setting yourself up for failure right there,
Yeah,
right?
You're not good at stand up.
If you got to
You're an
go
improv
to
guy,
if
it's
you got to
different.
go to school for that, I'm
Even
sorry, you're not a funny guy.
Those guys eventually get good. They stick with it. You get good at stand up. My mom's calling me. Anyways, did I call her back? I don't remember.
Nothing
But
changes.
anyways, those guys eventually get good. I always tell this little story. I was at a wedding, right? And then when I was doing stand up for a while, and there was a guy who was doing the speech for the wedding, and he was like, he was like, hey, I do comedy too. But I was like, oh, really? You do stand up? He's like, improv. And I was like, oh. And it was like,
I know.
I hate being that guy. And improv, there's some great improv shows.
There is.
But I was like, oh God. And he's giving the speech, and he went up there, he just ate shit. Because if you see guys who host the Oscars, and it's like stand-ups, they're better at doing that because that's what they do. They're up there. You're on your own. Improv, I think. I've never. I took an acting class, but I did improv. Justin, did you do improv? Yeah, you got to work with other people, right? It's
tough.
And when you're by yourself, like those improv, when they first start, they're like, a lot of times they're fish in the water. But if they stick with it, there's a bunch of people that started and then they stuck and they get good. But you got to go through the weeds.
That's why you used Jeff Wheatley Heckman. Remember Jeff Wheatley?
Yeah,
Heckman?
was he actually part black?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was, right? But he didn't look it.
No, he didn't look black. But he was a great guy, and he did a lot of
Where'd he
improv.
go?
He had an improv Washington, D.C.
Oh, he left, right?
Yeah, he just took off.
A great voice.
Great voice, good look. He looked like
bigger dude. Too,
yeah, good looking guy, and he had a great voice, and he was into it. He had a little troupe he performed with, a regular little group, so he was pretty good at it. But I loved having him warm up the crowd, right? Because he got everybody involved, you know, because he's the improv guy, so he's dealing with the audience, getting everybody in the mood and stuff. So I always loved him coming to a show. I'd say, Jeff, come on, open. Yeah, all right, I'll do my improv. I don't care, just get everybody going, you know. And he did. And he made it easy for everybody else, you know, that went on after him. So he was really good at it. I enjoyed having him in shows. And I didn't like improv as a whole. I don't like it. But it can be great at a good level.
So me and you went to a gay bar together.
Which one was that?
We went to Icon, remember?
Did we really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we did. I've been to a lot of gay bars with a lot of men. So it's all a blur now. It's a lot. There's a lot there.
We did the show, right? It was I think it was the
with
cops
Rivals.
and firefighters at
Rivals.
It was all cops, all firefighters. It was packed out.
Yeah,
so
it was jammed.
It was
a good
packed
show.
out. It was
Yeah.
jammed. I'm sure there was people getting jammed later after Icon.
Who'd we do that with? It was me, you.
It's always 3 of us. Me, you, and then the guy. Fuck, I forgot the other guy that would do our show. So it wasn't Wayne.
Is he a Milwaukee guy? Or?
Milwaukee guy.
The little guy?
I think it's...
Yeah, I know him.
I don't know if it's a little guy, but there was this dude who eventually got super angry on Twitter during that whole... You know, when we had the other president, and he was just like, "Hey, look," blah, blah, and it would just. A lot of people lost it during COVID and during that era. It was like people lost their fucking mind.
Yeah, they
with
did.
politics. So it was so it was him. So, anyways, somebody. I'll never forget this because so we had a friend named Wayne. We used to do shows with. And Wayne had this venue. It was this dive bar in Germantown, Wisconsin called Tiny T's. And it was called Tiny T's because his aunt was Tina. But the reason it was Tiny T's is because she had these little titties, right?
Yeah.
So she had little A cups. And she's like, and I was like, why is it Tiny T's? She's like, because these titties, right? So Wayne grew up there. Like as a kid, they showed us the toys.
Yes, they did. Yeah.
He had this little playpen area, so he was raised in this bar.
Literally raised in
by
a
his
bar.
aunt, and it was like I said, the front door was right by. This is us, and this is the front door. So we're trying to do comedy to the people sitting at the bar, and then everybody's coming in. And that guy I was talking about, I forgot his name, but I remember one time he got a little bit freaked out because there was a guy who was kind of drunk and he was drinking, and he was like, you know what? You people from Milwaukee come here, and you're friends with a couple of hard R N-word he threw out. And I was like, man, it's a tough little place. You remember he was like, and I'm just walking by and I happened to hear it, and I was like, It's a fucking hell of a room. This is fucking, yeah. And I've done that show a few times. It was me, Gary Tsakanikas. I remember Gary.
Yeah, sure. I met him in Milwaukee. Yeah. Gary,
Yeah.
He's a good guy. Yeah, I did that twice. And the second,
I think I did it
I said I
twice.
could never do this again, man. I'm sorry. I love you, Wayne, but I'm not coming to your aunt's bar again. It was brutal.
Yeah, that's probably one of the worst.
Brutal.
No, I did some bad shows, but that was up there.
I've had some rough ones, but that was.
But then he had some good stuff. He did like some festival. He got, like I said, he got himself into. He got me a college gig. We did Carthage College. We did that gig you did at American Legion.
Yeah, you know how many American Legions and freaking.
Oh, I did American
Moose
Legion
clubs,
with Charlie.
Moose clubs, VFWs, and my last gig when I retired from comedy, and then I got a call one day on my phone. This is so and so, and I'm from Milwaukee, and like you come up and do comedy. I go, well, I don't, I kind of don't do it anymore. And well, we really like this. We got your name from somebody, and it was an assisted living home off of Brady Street. Honest to God, I go, what? She goes, well, it's about 40 seniors, very old seniors. And
I would love to be
it's
in there.
It's a new venue. We built this beautiful place, very high end, and we're really promoting it. And we'd like to have comedy. And I said, you sure you want me for this? I said, what time is this gig going down? And she goes,
4 p.m.
4:30. Nobody stays up past 6:30 here. I said 4:30, and this was during COVID. And I said, you're going to allow me in an assisted living room during? Yeah, we're going to have it in an open courtyard. You're going to love it. These people can't.
So it was
wait.
outside?
Yeah, I named a price. Here's the price. Sure. I'm like, okay,
right.
I'll be there. I'm going up to my cabin anyway. I'll stop there at 4:30. We'll do this gig. 35 minutes. Sure, perfect. I left an hour and 10 minutes later. This was the most fun. You can't imagine how much fun it is.
Oh, really? Okay, with the opposite.
Dude, I was just slamming these people, and they loved it. They're old. They're not stupid, and they're loving it. I couldn't leave, man. They wouldn't let me leave. But a little more. How about some more? I had a riot. I'm like, this guy's shaking, and I go, hey, are you laughing or you got Parkinson's? Tell me what's going on. I go, the thing is with this crowd, it's great because 80% of you think I'm your grandson. And I'm not here to visit, and I was doing shit like that. And they were eating it up, I mean, some Italian guy in a wheelchair right up front, I said, oh, you're running all the numbers.
I want to do an assisted living
It
show.
was awesome. I had the best time. The people were treating me great.
We could do an assisted living comedy tour.
Yeah. I was making offers. Hey, any single women in here? I'll pay half your cable
Actually-
bill. I'm ready to move in this building. I mean, it was beautiful. They had a lounge and a freaking stone pizza oven. It was gorgeous.
The single women comment, that, is it retirement centers have like some of the highest rates of STDs?
Yes, they do.
Right?
Yeah.
You knew that, right, Justin? Look it up. They have like some of the higher.
No, they do. That's true.
Because it becomes like a thing where you have,
Never too old to learn.
what's the name of the horses that retire? The studs, right?
The studs.
Women outlive men,
Yeah.
and then it just becomes a fuck fest. Why are STDs are raising and rising? It becomes basically a fuck fest, and there's all these STDs. So there's a few old men to all these women, and it just nobody's using. They probably can't put on rubbers.
Dude,
Their hands keep shaking. You know what I mean? And the skin, I'm sure, doesn't help. They don't make. Plus, what's they don't. I don't think they make senior citizen condoms. They make magnums. Where the fuck is the
Yeah, it's crazy.
sexually dynamic?
Yeah, it's crazy. I did a show for hospice one time. The people from hospice called and said, "Can you do a show?" And I'm like, "What?" No, well, it's for our staff.
Hospice
to
when you're gonna
kinda
die,
cheer
right?
them. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it was like for the staff, and I'm like, damn, these are these people are sad all the time. They're dealing with people's last moments of life. But again, another great show, and like these weird ones that you never think are going to kill, just do great at. And it's kind of fun to do. It's just fun to do for these people.
Yeah, I know, but I did a drug addict place with a rehab. I did a rehab show. What's her name?
Ooh, that's tough.
Melissa Rochelle, right? She was a virgin for a long time. But anyway, that's besides the point. She was the Virgin comic. She wrote it. There used to be a comedy page called chicagocomedy.com, and the guy who ran it used to run that foundation, that blues room. But I guess he was always kind of creepy with the women, so it went over to Chris Tranny. Yeah, he kind of like got me to it out of there. But he used to run this cool website, and he'd have local comics do like articles. And hers was, she was a virgin. She was a virgin for a while. She ain't a virgin no more. But
well, that's good to know. Was she 13 now?
No, she's probably 30. She's my age. She was in her 20s, right? And she was a virgin, and she wrote an article why I'm a virgin and blah blah blah.
Oh.
And so she had this.
She
She had
dated
virgin jokes.
She dated Wayne, her buddy. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, you know what? I'm gonna stay a virgin. Fuck this. I'm not having sex. But she was, and she had this rehab show, and I thought it was like, but I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. But this is like in a ghetto ass area, and this wasn't like this is a public. It was like Section 8 housing of rehab, so it was like government assisted rehab places.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't, but it was actually pretty fun. Everybody's tweaked out. A lot of ethers, but you couldn't do any. I remember, you couldn't do any type of jokes referring anything that would encourage any. You can't put drugs in a positive light.
It is tough.
Besides that,
it is. I did have a whole table full of rehab people, 2 tables full. A guy called me and he says, "Hey, he was a rehab dude, and he focused on getting people into rehab for drugs and alcohol." He says, "Bringing 2 big tablefuls for your show or 3." And he says, I said, "Well, is anything off limits with these folks?" He said,
Don't give medicals.
No, don't. Just do your thing. They got to learn how to have fun without drugs and alcohol. I want them to know they can have fun. But
and everybody relapsed.
Yeah, probably after my show. It was probably just drank Drano after one of mine. But no, it's you never know what you're going to get, right? That's the gig. You were the. Let me just say this, Giovanni. You were probably the biggest road dog I have ever seen.
Oh yeah, I was going hard. I'd go anywhere.
Non-stop, would go anywhere.
Did you ever see my Honda Fit?
To do 5 minutes, you would do. I mean, I'm like, dude, that guy.
No,
everything.
I regret one. A Mason City Limits in Normal, Illinois, which is fucking 4 hours away. And I didn't know I wasn't getting paid. I drove down. This is where it got. Now I ask, what's the show? Time, pay. But I wouldn't ask. I just go. And this one.
Oh yeah, you go ahead.
It was just because it looked like a comedy club and it said Mason, and it looked like a club. I didn't realize like people could just rent out places and call it a club. Or like Kenosha Comedy Club is just a room at the Wyndham, but it's a great room.
Sure,
you know what I mean? But it's still a great room. So I'm like, oh shit, this is my first comedy club. No, I drove to Normal. Nobody's there, and the guy Jeff something. He's a guitar guy. I met him at Riddles when I did the mic at Riddles, and I remember I went, did the Troom. And it's like, fuck. I didn't get not even $5. I remember the drive back. I was like, man, I just drove 5 hours to do whatever minutes. I got no type of. I mean, it was cool. Kevin Meaney was going to be there, which was like a cool moment. Like, oh, Kevin Meaney performed here. But you start realizing there's a place called the Valley in Texas, right? And I make fun of my friend. Whenever somebody's performing there, it's like the end of the career. Because it's like, Chris Kattan's coming to the Valley. I was like, but he was never really a stand-up. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, I bought my yellow Honda Fit specifically for comedy. So I'd go, and it had nice tires, and I put snow tires on it.
Put a lot of tires on. You were unbelievable. I was all like, that dude goes. I mean, if he makes it, he deserves it because he's putting the time in.
No, but yeah, I started, before I kind of stopped doing less, I was getting decent, and then the pandemic hit, and I was just like, just chilled out.
That smoked everybody.
And I chilled out. So when you were a cop, you're talking about huff and paint. What's like the worst thing you find? Not worst, but like weird thing you find people trying to get high off or high. Was it just huff and paint? I remember there's paint. I remember the paint guys.
Yeah, I was kind of beyond. That was kind of a thing before I was, maybe. That might have been a 70s, kind of 60s, 70s. People would do more.
Was there a hot thing? Was there a hot thing when you were on the beat that people?
Man, most of the time when I was doing it was crack. It was rocks.
When did crack
It was
come
rocks, 80s. Rock.
Were you there
hard.
when crack hit?
Oh yeah. I started in '82.
Oh.
And I only did the road for 3 years as a uniform cop. I hated writing tickets. I hated being a uniform kind of guy, man. That was never my thing, And then I got into gangs, So then I got around crack, cocaine, rocks. Everything used to be territorial and gang and this and that, but then it became, drug territory, and that's all it boiled down to. So I ended up doing all kinds of shit, man. I had a kind of cool career where I was out of that monkey suit in 3 years. I didn't like being that guy.
Did you have the chain? Remember New York Undercover? They had the chain.
No,
with the
I
little
didn't
bit-
have the cool chain. I didn't have it. I'm only half Italian, so I didn't have the
Okay.
open shirt with the hair sticking out. I didn't have the rope. Yeah, I had cool stuff. But
You didn't have the chain badge.
yeah, you're Mexican and Italian. It's a double whammy there, you know.
Oh, you are Mexican Italian,
Yeah,
right?
Salas, not Salas. So I wish for a guy
Salas.
who should know Mexican people and goes to Texas.
Salas.
Says Salas.
Salas.
Not
Pues
Salas.
Salas.
Salas. There you go, man.
Miguel.
I got
Is it
some-
Miguel or is it Mike?
It's
Michael.
Mike. It's Mike. Yeah, it's Michael. But yeah, I
Mexican dad?
He's Mexican dad,
Knocked up a
crazy,
white woman.
insane.
Oh, like my dad.
Yeah, and my mom, Italian, 100%. You know, he picked cabbage in a field. You know, met her brother who worked in the field. No, up here in Wisconsin, from Texas, Austin, Texas, to here. You know, my uncle who was Italian, my mom's brother, took him home for dinner. My mom hated his guts, and of course they were married 55
how many
years. You know,
how many
before
of
he
you?
died.
Brothers and sisters.
One sibling, one brother, 6 years older. He's no longer with us, but
Rest in peace. What did he do? Did he go in law enforcement? How'd you get
no,
into law?
he actually ended up in the jail, working jails, right? He was a prison guard or, jail guard.
County
shit.
or prison?
County, and detention centers and shit. But I would have never do that job, but he loved it. He just loved that job. But he worked in, Chrysler, the car factory for 20 some years and then converted over to jail. And that was his thing, man. And there's some good shit happened there.
I had sex with a prison guard.
Aw.
I had sex with a Waukegan cop.
Male or
Oh,
female?
wait. Female.
Oh, okay.
No,
well,
wait. Not a prison guard. At jail. I actually met her on Valentine's Day.
Wow.
I was out in
romantic.
I was out on Valentine's Day, and then I remember it was in Gurnee. I was out, and I was talking to her, and I used to do this thing because I didn't smoke weed, but I would ask. It was a litmus test, and I would ask people if they ever smoked weed, and if they didn't, I'd be weary about them. Like, can I trust you?
Yeah.
Are you like? Let me see. So that was I don't care anymore. But before that was my little litmus test of people I want around me. Like, I don't, if you smoke it, I probably don't, but I didn't smoke. So I asked her, I was like, and she started like, she made a joke or something. And I was like, you ever smoke weed? And she was like, laughing, kind of avoid the question. And I was like, you're in law enforcement, aren't you? Right? Yeah. And she's like, what? And then she ended up being a prison guard. So I slept with her. And then same thing happened with the cop I met. I met her at a comedy show, like a few years before I slept with her in Waukegan. Fucking Waukegan, what a shithole. Anyways,
I went undercover in Waukegan
what a
once.
fucking shit.
And
It's worse now. It's not.
it was a hitman.
Oh.
I had a woman hire me to kill her husband.
Oh, you were the hitman? You were hired as a hitman?
Yeah. The Waukegan called and said, you got somebody
White
over
woman?
there. White woman. And I went in this place and met her in this weird biker kind of bar. And I bikered out, because
There's a
back
few
then I
of
was
those.
kind of a psycho-looking dude. I was in gangs already, so I dressed down. I wore a T-shirt. And I
Are you
was
tatted
kinda,
up? Do you have tattoos?
Yeah.
Okay, so
I
you can
had
see some. All right.
So I had a lot, going on back then, So they send me in there, and it was fucking hilarious because this woman's like, okay, so we're talking, and you gotta get rid of my husband, and I got this insurance policy, and I'll give you $10,000 once I get paid from the insurance company, and I'm like, oh boy, here we go.
Okay.
And so I said, we'll do this. We can do this. We can make it work. I said.
So it's just for the money. She didn't hate the guy?
Yeah, well, yeah, just for the money. Well, I think she hated. Yeah, she did hate him because I said, I'll make it quick. If just one bullet, it'd be cool to have. I've done this, and she goes, oh, actually, I'd like him to suffer. I'm like, well, that's going to be extra. So really, you can't go to a restaurant and order, just the steak. You got to have the sides. Some of these restaurants, they charge for it. It's a la carte.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm going to take a dagger, and grind it in for 20 minutes, it's going to be a little more. I'll be honest. I could get tendinitis.
Yeah.
I don't know. I got to think about my future.
Yeah, you got to hurt yourself. Emotional pain. That's all I
Like,
do.
this is one cold, mean-blooded bitch, right? Thinking, actually, I want to suffer. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Damn.
Well, we'll see what we can do here. Let's actually have a menu in the car. You can have it any way you want.
Yeah, how do you want it?
Yeah, I'll bring it in. You just check the boxes, and then I'll give you a price later. But I do stuff like that all the time.
So then what happens there? Do you guys swarm in on her, or you? How does what's the protocol?
you gotta have
Warrant?
certain criteria that meets the statute, in the state of Wisconsin, which is not only she can't just come in and say, "Hey, I want you to murder my husband. Hey, I'll give you this much," and it's a deal. It's done. You can't arrest her. She's got to provide, hey, here's where he works, here's where we live, here's his car, here's his address, here's how I want you to do it this night, go this way. If you come, you'll catch him at this hour, that kind of thing. It's going to be a furtherance of the act or whatever.
You got to show it how it's premeditated. It's not just off the whim, I'm emotional.
No, I'm just venting here. No, and then, no, they want to know the whole thing. So it takes a lot to make a case like that, actually.
Did she end up getting busted? Did she go that deep?
Yeah, she did. She provided everything we needed.
And then, so you got to go to the court dates, right?
Oh, yeah, you go to court, and they're so betrayed.
Was the husband there?
Oh, my God.
Was the husband at the court? Or
no, he was. I think somebody else got him ahead of me, but no, I didn't see him there.
No, like I know this. Allegedly, I used to dabble with the women of the night, and I remember they would ask me, which this is a myth. They would be like, "Are you a cop?" And I'd say no, but it doesn't matter if you say no, right? That's a myth.
Yeah,
it's not entrapment.
No,
if you say no.
No.
So
I've had some classic, prostitution ones over the years. I mean,
which ones?
Amazing.
I have a few.
Amazing stories. I mean, I was working at the time. I wasn't freelancing here, but
I was allegedly Johnning. I don't know if ever in Kenosha. I'm trying to think. But Joaquin, look, what people don't know, I didn't know until like I fucking accidentally slipped into this world. Is like there are hookers everywhere, every corner, every hotel that you go to, by every church, every town, Chattanooga, Kenosha. They are and I had no idea until like I opened the veil and I was like, holy shit, like there's a lot of fucking hookers, you know what I mean? And it's like, I had no fucking idea. I had no, like, so Kenosha, it's, you know what they would do? Lake County would do this. They'd arrest all these Johns.
Oh, yeah,
and they put it in the Daily Herald, right? And I don't know if this would work, but this was my mindset at the time. I would, as soon as that New Sun or that thing would come out with all the faces of all the Johns, I'd post them up, like all these guys were arrested. As soon as that would happen, that day or the next day, I try to get a prostitute, because I was like, you know what? It just happened. They're not going to do this for another few weeks. It's like, think about it. This is how I thought about it. Mm-hmm. Like the Super Bowl just ended, right? I can't say Chiefs, Phillies. The Super Bowl just ended. They're not going to game or practice the next day. It's going to be a little bit. Well, it's gonna. I saw it as my window, but I could be wrong.
You are wrong, because they just did one. A friend of mine who's still working. They did it for like 4 days in a row. So your theory of one day and done.
Mine is when they release the pictures. After they release the pictures, the next few days.
You do know, yes, but that's not always a gimme either. They were turning away guys. I mean, they didn't have enough cops to arrest the Johns.
There's so many Johns, dude.
I mean, they literally said we could have had 200 cops were still not arrested everybody. That's how many guys came out for that.
What do you feel about? I've thought about this, about legalization, prostitution legalization, because it cuts out the black market. Like, man, it's all its profession, but you got sex trafficking, you got
the Asian massage issues. You know, that's all sex trafficked women. You know, Asian massage.
All
that thing. You know, use apartment with 25 people on freaking blankets sleeping up there.
So
working around the clock.
How does that work? I go to the tax place in Kenosha. There's these places look obvious. You guys just can't go in, or how does this work?
No, we've sent people in from time to time.
Okay,
they do send undercover people in those, and they're hilarious. I mean, the stories are just hilarious. The stuff that goes on there, but. Now, you remember you brought up Club Icon, which is
a gay club that we went to together.
Now, you know, right next to it down there is Supreme Video, or whatever, like the dirty bookstore, you know, what everybody called it when I was, hey, let's go to the adult movies and things like that. So I got to tell you this quick one.
And pipes.
So they send
do pipes and adult videos and toys.
Right. So they send me and this guy in, right? We're undercover. They go, listen, go in undercover. What's going on is, you know, these guys are going into booths. They're sucking each other, you know, they're having sex in the booths.
Right next to the gay club.
Yeah. And they're making a mess. The maintenance guy's had it. You know, he's ready to quit. He can't go through another Swiffer, wet jet. This guy is, you know, beside himself. The people are, you know, so me and this guy go in. And they said, go in there and meet somebody and see if you can talk them, you know, into something, or you see something. Mm-hmm. So we go in, and I'm in checking around things, you know, and buying stuff for, you know, Christmas. And
double-ended dildo.
Yeah, and then here my buddy goes, hey, I got this guy. He wants to meet me in the booth. We're gonna have to do this. You know, I says, all right, man, what's up? Well, you are handsome. I said, you are good looking. If I was gonna bang a guy, probably You would be it.
Number
But
one.
yeah, I mean, he had this great hair and everything. So we go over, and he whips this door open in the booth. Here's the guy on all fours, licking semen off the floor. Like all the residual.
This is old semen.
The old, yeah, that's what was disgusting to me. I'm like, who
Yeah,
in their right mind
I've like
eats
semen.
cold semen? I mean, really? You know, a microwave in the break room back here? Something, right? Cold. It's like pudding. I mean, if I was to lick it myself.
I won't, no comment, but I've maybe tasted my own.
Well,
That's a whole different story, yeah.
Wow, you're a squirter. Good.
Well, when I was younger, I would lay down, not to be too graphic, but I'd lay down, and
okay,
sometimes I
here we
could
go.
shoot. But now I go to the bathroom. It's in the toilet, no mess. Like, allegedly I work. I don't know. But I'm done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But,
So that was kind of not a good experience. It turns out the guy was superintendent of a school system in Illinois. He was the guy. Yeah, this is true. This is true stuff, man. He was a well-known county in Illinois. He was the superintendent of schools for. So, you know, everybody's the same, Giovanni. I don't worship any humans.
yeah, you got to...
No, they're all the same. I mean, they all have, you know,
Lincoln.
their shit.
That's
Yes,
super video.
apparently there's stuff they do that, you know, everybody does. And it doesn't matter who you are, what you are. Yeah, you can pretty much
It's kind of...
safe bet.
It's kind of nasty, right? Just a little bit? Like,
It's a little bad.
you know what I mean? Like get off the floor on all fours. Did you ever get shot at?
I almost, not at, I got
Uh-huh.
almost shot by accident by a skinhead. I was in a gang and we were doing skinheads. A group of skinheads moved into a black neighborhood, across the street from a black church.
Is it in Kenosha?
And then
Is
realized.
it by Midtown or whatever it's called?
No,
That area? No, okay.
no.
different.
And they realized that they were now in a black neighborhood in a black church. And so they decided they're going to do some shooting practice at the church, and you know, off hours, just to light it up a little bit. You know, they're skinheads; they're just going to have some fun, whatever. So it's a
Cyndi Lauper had that song, right? Skinheads just want to have fun.
Yeah.
On the remix.
Oh my God! All right, thank God you're off the road. So this pouring rain. I get this call. I'm by myself that day, somewhere around my partner's off or something. Sheets of rain you couldn't see, and there's guys are shooting out the window of this house. Of course, that's the skinhead house. All right. And they're shooting at the church. So I park about a block away because it's like a rifle barrel scribe coming out the window. So I go creeping up, and it is sheets. And I mean, you can't see. Your wipers won't keep up kind of sheets of rain.
Okay.
So I'm creeping up
Like
there.
that
No
Christmas
other
Slater.
cops are taking their time. Oh, you know, I get up. So I get up to the house, and I'm kind of leaning against the house, creeping up. And there's a window right there, and this gun barrel comes out.
Oh,
Pop-oo! Right, literally 6 inches from this face, right?
what caliber? Rifle caliber?
It was just like a 22, by the sound of it, but, you know,
Yeah,
would have
yeah,
hurt.
well,
It would have
yeah,
hurt,
like,
yeah.
So fuck up your
I
ear.
just grabbed the barrel and ripped it through the window. So now I'm holding the rifle at least. Or one of them, you know, I don't know how many guns they have, but so then the troops arrived. We ended up pulling him out of the house.
What did the
But that
guy
was
do when
like,
you pulled the rifle? How did he react? He just run?
I
or-
just think he just ran. Yeah, he was like not going to look out the window and see who got it. I mean, he's like, he had to be shocked due to the weather. Like, what, you know, it was
is going
kind of
on?
funny if it wasn't like, you know,
A skinhead shooting at a black church.
yeah, it would be humorous otherwise, but you know, if it was a comedy sketch.
If he was
but
like maybe shooting at Arby's or something, wouldn't be as bad.
skinheads were something. At one time, you know,
How did-
when I worked,
when did they pop up? Because I know outside of
it was not long after I got in the gang unit. I went in the gang unit in, let's see, 84, 85. I started going into gangs full time. And the skinheads popped up, right? And we had a group called the Hammerskins. Have you ever heard of them?
No,
They used to
no.
carry around big claw hammers in their car and beat people in the head with their hammers and stuff. So I get pulled over a group of Hammerskins.
What's that white power punk rock band? They have a Screwdriver, right? Is that what it's called?
There was a
They
ton
had
of
that
them.
song called White Power, White Power. And you can't even find it on YouTube because it gets taken off. But
There was a
you
ton
guys-
of that back then. There was like they all had bands. They would ride around, look to try to, you know.
No, I wasn't accusing.
It
you,
was.
but
It was.
I knew that. I just remember that song. I think the Poly used to play it as like ironic on this
Yeah.
podcast.
So yeah, I pull this carload over, and it's like 4 or 5 skinheads, and they get out.
Yeah,
And they're all young
20,
dudes.
right? Early
They're all
20s,
young
yeah.
guys. They're like 17, 16, you know. And they knew who I. They're like, I know you. You're Salas, you know. And I'm like, how do you know
Salas.
me? Salas.
Salas.
Salas. You know, like you saying, Mike Salas is here tonight, folks.
Salas. I do have a Chicago accent, right?
So they go, yeah, you're Salas. And they go, yeah, okay. How do you know? Well, you know, I go with your cousin. Oh,
I go with your cousin.
fantastic. Good to know. All right. So what's it for Thanksgiving?
white cousin or the
yeah,
Mexican
yeah,
side?
the white cousin, yeah, Italian side, the white girl. And so they go, yeah, I got a picture of you. And really, this is interesting. Actually, I took your picture of your tattoo. And I sent it in Outlaw Biker magazine, and they accepted it. Do you know you were in August of Outlaw Biker?
He was like,
I guess
he was at a
he was
family
big
thing or
fan.
something?
I don't know.
Okay.
He says I got it on the street when you were at some skinhead thing or something. I said, well, good to know.
Oh, because you're undercover.
I said, do I get any royalties out of that? I mean Outlaw Biker.
Did you ever find the...
I never went and found the issue. I should have. Been interesting to see.
So what are the gangs, Kenosha? Is it the regular gangs in Illinois?
Yeah.
The whatever, the People Nation.
Right on. People folks.
The People Folk Nation.
Disciples, Vice Lords. You know, we at the time in the 80s, everybody came from Chicago, and they were trying to legitimately, some families, flee. Mm-hmm. You know, the violence down here. Like, let's move to Wisconsin. Okay, there can't be as bad as here in Chicago, right? So the gangs were hideous here because I actually rode down here for a couple weeks with their gang unit, the Chicago gang unit.
Yeah. In the 80s?
Yes.
Cracked or
Unbelievable. Yeah, 80s. It was the Wild West, right? And I mean, it's bad now, right? Yeah. It was incredible. The gangs were so powerful, and they still are, actually. But power. 84 was Michael Jackson's Victory Tour. You remember this?
I was born in 84.
Oh, well, you don't remember it. I know you could, but your mom might remember
quick thing. I remember this when I was like 5 or something. When I was still in California, we moved. And I was 6 over here. I remember seeing, I think it was Thriller on the TV at my grandma's house, 5 years old. I was like, and I saw Michael Jackson. So
and you were in love.
Yeah,
he was in love with you if he would have saw you.
Oh yeah,
you were a cute kid.
I was a little chubby. No, I got chubby, but I was still skinny. So I don't know what his. Did he have a preference? I don't know if he had a type.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, anything under 8. So
allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. Right. So in '84, he was doing the Victory Tour concert at Comiskey. Right. So
that's the
old Sox Park
field. I don't know what it's called. Great guaranteed rate.
I don't know what it is now. Yeah, it changes every week.
Yeah, it's Comiskey in the Sears Tower.
So it was Comiskey. So I was, riding with Chicago cops, and they're like, what happened here? 2 weeks ahead of the concert, Michael Jackson's people came into Chicago, and they had a meeting with the Vice Lords.
Oh, the Vice Lords.
And they had a meeting with the Black Gangster Disciple leaders. And they said, we'll give you 2,500 free tickets. We're giving you 2,500 free tickets. No homicides, no shootings at the tour. Because our tour ends, once there's a murder, we get canceled at every city in America after this tour. And they gave away 5,000 tickets to gang members, and everybody had to get along for one night. And
for Michael Jackson.
And they do enough to come into town and take care of that, though. Which was very smart business.
Like in most towns, you got to know the local politics, But, okay, I've heard this before with Chicago. I don't know if this is true or not, but Chicago, before things got how they got now, there was some type of, some people on top got killed. There was a power vacuum.
Yeah.
That's what I heard. Like, so the violence that happened now stemmed from some power vacuum because it used to be
David
more
Barksdale,
organized, and then I know
Larry Hoover took over for David Barksdale. David Barksdale was shot. That's a star. David, the 6-point star, was David Barksdale. That's why the King David they called him. You can see that in the graffiti a lot, and. David's, they had the heart and wings because they said when he got murdered, they saw his heart flutter on wings outside of his chest, and then there was a big legend.
Like Jesus.
And then, he was Black Jesus here, man. He was powerful. And, then Larry Hoover took over, and he was the Hoover Groover, Vice Lord Remover. You remember them guys doing all that? They would say that when we were on the streets. They're like, oh, he's a Hoover Groover, man.
Hoover Groover?
Hoover Groover, Vice Lord Remover, right? So that was the thing.
Hoover, I know he went to that... he was still operating most of the stuff out of prison.
Jeff Fort.
Before they sent him to Supermax in Denver.
That's Jeff Fort.
Okay.
Jeff Fort was
Who's
head of
Jeff?
the El Rukins, which were originally the Black Pea Stone Rangers. Then they went to Black Pea Stones, and then they went to the Gangster Disciples. But he ran the El Rukin Temple. He was big time.
that?
Jeff Fort.
What was the temple?
I can't remember the address of that
But
temple.
what it was? What is this? What was
Church.
It? Okay.
So he's like,
When you say
why do we
church,
want to
okay.
pay taxes? Why do we want to avoid the police? Let's make it a religion. So, Jeff Fort became very powerful.
Yeah, Jeff, what did he run?
He was bright. He ran Black Pea Stones.
Okay.
Which was still to this day is legit in Chicago, that gang, right? They may have some different set names and shit, but they're tough, right? They're the guys. But he was so powerful. What he did was the reason he went to prison is he contacted Muammar Gaddafi, and made Libya, and said, $2 million, I'll start raining domestic terrorism here for you guys. We got the guns, we got the rifles, we got everything, $2 million. And they got him, caught him doing this. He went away, and he probably ended, I don't know how many murders he was responsible for. He's very bright, very charismatic, genius probably, literally could have did anything he wanted with his life. Is that smart? Those guys that are leaders
Yeah,
for a
because there was
reason.
him. There's Hoover. Who was the king guy? I forgot. The Latin king guy. He was. Were the Kings started in Humboldt Park, right?
LKs, I don't know where they start out. They're still huge here. Latin Kings are, they're legit. They're nowhere, they're very organized. LKs are organized. Folks, disciples aren't so organized. A lot of infighting.
Winthrop Harbor?
Yeah.
I had sex with a queen, a Latin queen.
Well,
and
of course you did.
My uncle's, my uncle was, he was letting me use his Dodge Ram that eventually lit on fire in Park City.
My Dodge.
Shout out to Don Gustavo. Actually, his mezcal is, Don Gustavo's mezcal is. So check it out. Anyways, he just released it. But before that, right, he had this truck and I didn't have a car. So remember, MySpace. I met this Latin queen on MySpace. And I remember I was like, when I was there, she got in the car and I was like, what is, she had something, right? I was looking at her, I didn't notice it, and I was like, oh, you like yellow and black or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
And then I realized, then I saw a tattoo, I was like, oh, you're a Latin queen, but had sex, and then, that was my gang experience.
Yeah, I knew a lot of gang. I'm to this day friends with a lot of gang members. I mean, I got along with them. I understood them, and they understood me, and they're like, hey, you do your job, we do our job. Let's not make it personal, believe it or not, and it can be successful.
So from what I see, from what I've read, a lot of these gangs started where it's like, hey, there's nobody here protecting our neighborhood.
Right.
So we got to, that's how the Kings started, right? The cops were going there.
It's over 100 years old.
Yeah, they had no protection, so we got it.
It was all neighborhood-based, right? Italians had the mafia, right? They had the mob. The Irish had their gangs, right? And some of those Mickey Stones, they call them, were white Irish people that were involved in Disciples at one time. They're called Mickey Stones because they're Irish.
I don't remember them. Do
you remember Simon City Royals?
No.
They were all white guys.
Eagles. There's some of the Eagles. I used to watch what's that show? Gangland or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Before I got.
But we had a group called Simon City Royals, and they were out kind of by the burbs, but they were hardcore fuckers, man. They were good at jacking cars, and well, probably still are to this day. But Simon City Royals, and they were like, Simon City has no pity. That was their big thing, right? They were crazy.
The Salvatrucha, they never got to the Midwest, have they?
Who's that?
The Salvatrucha
Oh,
MS-13.
yeah. They got here.
They got to like Kenosha? I never those fucking Central American fucks.
Oh, yeah, they got here.
Is it towards the end of when you were working?
I didn't have too many run-ins with any of those guys. That was after my time.
You know the MS-13s, right? Yeah.
I was just in for 7 years. I was in from 85 to 92. But, oh, man, there's unbelievable shit.
Who were the worst? We see the worst gang.
Well, everybody's got their share, depends on the dude.
Because
every gang's got that
people,
guy.
The crazy guy.
Yeah, the guy who's
a psycho.
Who's the pit bull on a leash, man. And you want something done, you turn him loose, That's a guy that does mayhem, Not everybody's built for that in the gang. And, the leaders are smart enough they're violent and they're tough, but they're more smart. They know how to get people to do things, want to do things for them and prove themselves, you know. So you get some hairy shit going on with these dudes who aren't too sharp, right? Those are the violent dudes, you know. I mean, the guys at the top, they're pretty smooth, man. Jeff Fort, he was invited to Nixon's inauguration at the White House.
Oh, really?
He's doing 168 years.
Is he in Denver?
He's still
or whatever.
He's in Denver.
You know that prison, right?
It's a supermax kind of thing out there.
Larry
he has
Hoover's
zero
there.
contact with any humans.
But you know what I'm talking about? It's the Supermax in Denver, Colorado.
I can't remember the name of it.
But it's like I saw something on Larry Hoover. So Larry Hoover was still running the Lords, right?
Hoover is a disciple. He's folks. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
He's a gangster disciple.
He was one of the GDs out of Denver Supermax prison, or it's somewhere in Colorado. But they have
gangs around the prison.
Didn't they have El Chapo? Or I'm trying to remember who's over there.
Yeah, that's it. AdMax.
Oh, here, ADX in
AdMax.
Florence, dude. Yeah, so it's AdMax. So you get, I forget.
There's some bad dudes in there, man. That ain't playing. I've been, we used to go to meetings in the prisons of Wisconsin system, right? We had gang meetings because same thing. Guys would run shit from prison once they get sent up, and it would affect us on the street, put out hits or whatever, right? So we would have meetings regularly with the dudes in the prisons, right? So I go up there one time, and we're checking shit out, and talking about this guy and that guy. And what I found out is the guards basically joined the gang, right?
Female or male?
All of them survive, right? Because you got 3 guys sometimes in a dorm with 75 dudes, right? And shit breaks out, you pick a side, right? They used to color their gang pocket, inside of their pants pockets with gang colors.
They were just painted.
And then they would pull it out, show who they were with so they didn't get hurt. Like if folks were winning, disciples winning, they pulled out the black, and back then black and blue was their color, right? Probably changed now. I think it's red and gold or something now. But
for the folks?
But then, and then the VLs were red, Vice Lords were red, red and black, or red. So, and LKs, yellow and black.
Land Kings.
But they would pull out their pants pockets to show where they were, who they were with, their affiliation, to survive. It was
okay, so if you go to prison, you can't. Can you? At least at jails, can you just be solo or by yourself without bothering anybody? Doesn't exist? You gotta.
I don't think
you gotta go Mexicans. If you're white, you gotta be like, oh, I'm a skinhead now.
Yes, you do. Yeah, pretty much. That's all that shit that you see is pretty much true. Yeah. It is. I mean, I talk to guys. Oh, you mentioned wrestling earlier before we got on the air. Were you talking about the wrestling thing? You like wrestling, guys? Do you remember a dude named Ken Patera?
No. Who's Ken Patera?
First, look him up on here. You will see him. You will love him. He is the first.
Type in Ken Patera
nudes. First American to lift 500 pounds over his head, right?
Let's see. Nope. Okay. So you can take out the nudes part, I guess.
Nudes part out. Ken Patera was was an Olympic lifter, right? Olympic champion. Later, he became this dude with the fro here.
Oh, that's a beautiful
Here's when
hair.
I met him. Unfortunately, face to face. Okay, my first day on second shift in the police department, I'm riding with this female cop, and she goes, "Hey, let's go over to the high school." I go, "For what?" I don't know anything, right? She goes, "There's wrestling over there, and we can walk, check it out." I go, "Well, we don't have tickets." She goes, "Tickets? We're the cops. We just walk in. We're in there checking things out." And I go, "Oh, wow, what a cool job." Right? So this is what I run into when this guy you got up here on screen is what I run into when I get there. He's in the ring, and he's wrestling. I don't even know who the wrestler was. This guy is a psychopath, right? He gets thrown out of the ring, as part of his little deal there. And a kid I know, who was just a dumbass in Kenosha, like 18 at the time, jumps up and grabs this guy on the shoulder from behind.
He's on the ring or he's outside the ring?
He's outside the ring, looking in the ring, and this kid jumps out and puts this hand on his shoulder. Now, this guy...
He's roided up. And cocaine.
Beyond cocaine, roids, this guy took it. He spins in the fastest I've ever seen a human spin and goes, boom!
And just punches.
And this guy looked like if you took that curtain off the rod and folded up, I said, he killed him. He killed that kid. This kid dropped straight down. And I'm like, they're like, "Officer, do something." I'm like, I'm going to leave. Do you know who that is? That's Ken Patera. These bullets are useless against him, So he comes storming by me out of the ring.
Ken
comes storming past me And I'm just like in awe of this guy because he's wide as this table. And there's a poor human standing by the ticket table, minding his own business. And Ken decides he doesn't like him either and hits him with the palm of his hand right under the chin and literally 6 feet over the ticket table on the fly. And again, officer, what are you going to do? Well, I think we are on break. I don't know. I'm like, I go, why did you bring me in here? Right. So next day in the paper, Patera goes berserk at, high school. Police stand by and do nothing. I'm like, well, this was a cool job for 5 minutes. I'm like, so the parents dragged this kid who's now his toes are he's still out like a light. And he goes, any charges against my son? I said, well, I knew enough to say, not this time. We'll look into it, but just get him out of here. Okay. And tell him to mind his own business around.
Would that be self-defense
so
technically?
Stupid. I was so stupid. It was, yeah. And so he later, I don't know if you know about this. You can look this incident up. There's a wrestler called Mr. Saito.
Mr.
Saito, yes, S-A-I-T. He was a Japanese guy. Him and Patera were traveling together through the Midwest doing wrestling shows. They go up to Beloit.
Oh, God.
Do you know this story?
No, but I've slept with some...
people from Beloit,
yeah.
of course. Cops, probably, or
no.
something. I don't know.
Oh, they were old.
Postmen. So they go up there for a show. They do their show. They go back to the room. They're ready to party as usual. Cocaine induced, whatever. They're both,
look at them.
They're insane, right? So here's what happens. They are staying at a hotel across from McDonald's. They said, we're hungry. Let's go to McDonald's. But the store's closed. McDonald's closed. We can go through the drive-thru, walking through the drive-thru. So they walk up to the drive-thru window.
I've done that.
Well, that's a
little bit buzzed.
That's a tough gig.
You have a car.
So they're like, sir, we can't serve you. You don't have a car.
Yeah.
The kid's like, well, what do you mean you can't serve us? We're here. We want food now, right? So apparently they deny him food. Patera picks up a landscaping boulder, like 300-pound boulder, and throws it through the plate glass window. And they run off to the hotel. So call 911. Yeah, what happened? Well, there's two big guys. They came. They threw that rock through our window. Rock? It's a boulder. So, yeah, they were in that hotel. The cops go over. They send a woman who's about 95 pounds and a rookie. Okay? They go into the hotel. They ask the desk. Yeah, they're in room 20, whatever. Okay. They go up there, knock on the door. Patera comes out wearing just a towel in the hallway, gets locked out of his room, picks the girl up, puts her head through the drywall.
Damn.
Puts her head through the hallway drywall. Eye pops out, loses her eye. Picks the rookie up, knee drops him, and then starts to knee drop him on his leg, breaking his leg in like 5 pieces. Permanently disabled both of them for life. And the sergeant, heard this, screams and comes running up with a gun, puts it in Patera's head and says, go ahead. Go, just blink, please. And he gives up. So they send them to prison in Wisconsin, right? So I knew the warden from Green Bay, or Dodge Correctional, actually, Dodge. Everybody goes to Dodge, gets evaluated, then they send them to other prisons to figure out where you're at. If you're a gangbanger, you go to Green Bay. If you're here, you go here. If you're old, you go here, you stay here. If you go to Waupun. So they send this guy. So they got him in Dodge. Patera walks in the first day, walks into the weight room. Now, you got some big, mean dudes in this prison, right? He walks in, throws 315 pounds, 3 plates on each side, does it 25 times with no warm-up, throws something down. Now, all the dudes in the prison are like, you're God, we're not, what do you need? He is running the fucking prison like week 1, right? So he sues the Wisconsin State Prison like 25 lawsuits for nutritional, for not providing nutritional meals.
I need cocaine and steroids.
And if you ever been to a prison, he's kind of legit there. They got a pile.
The food is bad.
Oh, you don't want to go there.
Yeah.
It's not a, B&B. But so he sues the state of Wisconsin like 20 times. Finally, they're like, do something about this guy. Give him whatever he wants. So they send him to St. Croix, Wisconsin, that had like a minimum security type situation. So he slept there at night, and then he worked all day at a health club, managed a health club there. And then at night slept in the prison. That's what he did his time.
Is he dead now? Probably. Right?
I hope so. If he hears this,
Rest in peace,
Ken. Love ya.
Ken Patera.
Yeah, he's yeah. But that was a fun thing in police work you don't get to do every day. So you do like weird shit that way. So,
So we're finishing up here. Any last things? You know what? Anything that kind of irked you as a cop, or any advice to people like don't do this or don't do that?
Well, there's a lot there, Maybe most. You know what? You just got to be cool with everybody, And I did that with people. I wasn't pushing my weight around or trying to think I was a cop or be this or be an authority. I'm not a.
Did you know RoboCop from Waukegan? He was this angry Asian cop who was
I didn't
had
know
the
him.
thick glasses by the booze. He was one of those. He was like, "Hey,
you can't be by the book." Man.
Yeah, he was strong.
That's fine. But there's somebody always stronger, somebody tougher, and somebody with a gun. So I mean, you got to be cool with people. And you get coolness back. Like, the gang dudes, I let go for warrants that were like, chicken shit driving warrants or no license or suspension. Bullshit, right? So I say, hey, you got a warrant for you, man, right? I'm not going to take you in. But, go take care of it for me, man. Just don't make me look bad, all right? Everybody knows you want it. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you're hanging out with your dudes here, go have fun. Just don't do anything stupid, man, And I let a lot of people go. But it came back, man, to pay off, right? Because they'd say, hey, Salas, this dude just came to town. He's real. He just did this. He just did that. Here's where you can find him, So I would get shit like that back, So you got to be smart about playing that game, You can't be everything's black and white and we're going to do this and do that. You got to be cool with people. And most of the time, man, I get along great with gang members. To this day, I get up gas pump and I get crap.
Who's your favorite? Kings, GDs?
Well, I'm kind of a GD guy. I'll be honest.
Yeah, GDs are pretty cool. Kanye's with the GDs or GDs. They seem like a nice. You're on the west side. What's the best gangs up here?
You think I know?
Huh? He's like, I ain't going out there.
Stay away from them. Largely is a good tip.
Well, it's hard for me to get gang because I used to record with James. I was like, hey, there's these gangbangers. I want to get in the podcast. He's like, I have a lot of equipment. You're not bringing them in here, and I'm assuming you probably think the same thing.
It will no longer be your equipment.
Yeah. And there was this one crackhead I really wanted. My friend's uncle, man, hilarious guy, smoking crack for 20-something years. He was in prison.
Happen? How does that happen?
He was his brother killed somebody. He took the rap for it, so he went to prison and he started smoking crack in prison or whatever. But he works, but he's a functioning crackhead, and I've known him for like 20 years. He gets his crack, and then allegedly
I know heroin
worked up
40 years heroin. 40 years shooting heroin, still going.
And one time allegedly, I was like, man, I kind of want to try it. One time he's like, don't. He's like, especially like. He's like, you smoke crack or have sex, it feels good. He was like, I'm telling you. And I was like, I don't have an addictive personality. But he was really against me smoking crack. This is coming from a crackhead, so I was like, you know what?
Yeah, it's not good.
I want to do crack for now.
Not
for
a good
you.
policy.
All right. You're not doing shows, so no plugs, right? Or anything like
man,
that?
I'm not doing any shows right now. I get tempted once in a while. I got a call for the dude from Kenosha wanted me to do headline at that
Kenosha Comedy Club?
Have you done that?
I was there the other day to see Chris Barnes and Tsakanikas and Dame, the guy who's coming up right now. But no, I haven't, because I've been kind of just chilling. So I was like, and I went and I was like, you know what, this is a packed out room and I can hand out Lobo Den stickers. So that made me want to do it. So, but I want to host. He does feature headliner, so you got to do 20. I just want to do like 15 minutes.
You should go host for him. Yeah, get a hold of him.
But he's doing feature headliner, not. But I was like, here, look, let me host. Blah blah blah. I'm close. Just don't have to pay me that much. But
he could probably use a guy.
I want to paper with stickers. Yeah. So
yeah, that would be cool. Yeah.
I'll talk to Dan.
Frank gave me my first job, Carmichael.
Carmichael.
He gave me my first job, the Brat Stop, and 480 people showed up.
Man, the Brat Stop.
Toby Maxwell was my headline.
We're out of time, but Dobie started that room, and now he hates Frank. Well,
I know.
He did for a little bit. He's not as bitter.
I know he was running it, right?
And then Frank kind of squeezed him out. And then anybody who did the room, Dobie hated. But Dobie's chill now. He's not that bitter road comic he was.
He's always angry, but that's okay.
Now that he's stepped away from comedy, he's less angry.
Oh, he's done with it.
Yeah.
He's good. He was good. I thought
he was good.
He did a lot of comedy, man.
So, all right. So I'll finish it up. Again, how do I finish this? Oh, yeah. Follow the Lobo Den Podcast on Instagram. I have a TikTok. I upload a video every once in a while. Then I delete my TikTok. because Taiwan is a country. Anyways, so follow me on Instagram. I think I have a Snapchat, but that's for weird stuff. And then again, Justin, Comedy Give Studios. Oh, there's a Patreon. If you want to support the podcast, everything is free. There's free content every week. And if you don't want to support it, you are the reason for 9/11. Anyways, but go to the Patreon. $3 a month for lowest tier, $6.5. And then maybe we'll do some more stories in there that people don't know about, and I'll put it up there. Okay, Lobo Den. And I'll record the intro. What did we talk about? Being a cop, gangs, comedy, tiny teas.
Yeah, we had a little bit of
Something like
everything.
that? Yeah, okay. I'm going to record a little intro.
We did a little bit of everything, man.
All right.
It's good.
Are you ready?
Lobo Den.